head hurts, it's hot, I fucking hate it here. We're gonna make a presentation about this because I can't keep things in myself anymore. So hello, it's me, Dice. I'm here to make a presentation about how Mabby had to lie to protect someone using AI art generation. And I'm here to discuss about it and to point out that it's bad. Just don't do it, it's bad. Anyway, you know that my name's Dice, but who the heck am I? Why does this concern me? Well, first of all, I'm an artist. I was an art moderator in which I had to look at stolen and plagiarized works. And I was a victim to AI art generation. Most notably, there was a time in Mabby Discord 2 years ago in which AI art was on the rise, and the general chat was filled with nothing but AI art. And during that time, I got ridiculed by many people. One of them even forgets why I don't even talk to them. I had to ban them from my stream. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm a Mabby player, so of course this concerns me a lot. So let me give you the, the details of this entire event. So here's the summary of events. On Valentine's Day, CMs posted on the Mabby homepage site a commemorative Valentine's Day art piece created by Nexon America's creative director. And upon closer inspection, it's AI art generated. However, the CMs choose to defend this. Here it is. It's pretty, but upon closer inspection, you will see that there's a lot of signs that it's AI art generated. So what's wrong with it? First of all, the arms and the legs are just morphing together, and they have incorrect number of fingers. The man's hands are morphing together as well. Here, the chains of the metal swing is melting onto the main body of the swing. One is turning into flowers. The other is trying to turn into a branch. Here, the characters have incorrect pairs of shoes, which is not something an artist would ever mistake ever when they are illustrating something like this. What else? The metal swing becomes wood halfway through, and then it tries to pierce into the girl's thigh. And then the skirt, which shouldn't have an extra fabric on the bottom, it has extra fabric on the bottom. And it's just trying to attach onto the swing? Back to the girl, her right arm is severely elongated because the AI art generator can't distinguish what is hair, arm, or cloth. The bush has a body of a tree, and underneath the body of this tree bush thing has 2 AI generated moons. That shouldn't be there, and I know this because the night sky doesn't have these 2 moons. There's more problems to this piece, but I digress. Irregardless, it's still AI art generated. This is a video by somebody who has found the original image. As you can see, the shape and even the silhouette is completely one-to-one. So why the outburst? What is everyone's issue with this? It's because, again, the Nexon staff continues to lie about it. There's already a huge problem with Nexon trying to hide so many things and lying about several things. They just don't say anything. And this is adding more gasoline to the fire. But let's keep talking about this. Here are the conversations that we had with the CM, whether if it's in the DMs or in the general chat. As you can see, they deny it. In fact, one of them says that they have seen the various layers and time-lapse of the piece. However, when pressed about this, she says that she only saw it in person with her eyes at the desk of the creative director and doesn't have it, which is the most lamest excuse I've ever seen someone say in my life. So who is this creative director? Well, fortunately, he put his signature on this AI-generated art piece, so we got to see who he is. His name is Gilman Friedman, and he has been a creative director for Nexon for quite a while now. While his previous art pieces show that he has a great understanding of art fundamentals, it doesn't change the fact that his recent art pieces reveal that he's using AI art generators. But let's keep going. Looking at these, it does present that he's quite capable of creating amazing pieces and skillful works. But among these, I realized a reoccurring thing in his pieces. And it seems to be that he's really good at photo bashing images to create a finalized piece. But what exactly is photo bashing? Photo bashing is when you combine several pieces or images or assets from 3D and merge them together to create a completely new piece. And this is not an inherently bad thing. Concept artists use photo bashing. It's so that it's quicker to create more ideas for everyone to see. As you can see, here's a concept art of The Last of Us by John Sweeney, and it's amazing what a person can do with photo bashing. But if you use images from different sources without permission, isn't that plagiarism? Technically, it gets a little bit more confusing than that. If you don't edit or change or transform those images, they would be considered plagiarism. However, with photo bashing, you change it so much that the original message and the intention for the images just becomes an entirely different meaning in this completed piece. This is what we call art appropriation. According to the general consensus, if there's little to no changes, then that's when it's considered plagiarism. And while photo bashing has sparked some debates here and there, in regards of whether or not it's considered digital painting or digital design, this isn't the issue here. I mean, let's not get distracted here. The problem with Friedman's submission for Valentine's Day is that it used AI art, and the fact that the CMs, and maybe possibly himself, are lying about this. So what's wrong with AI art? Well, the art generator needs to learn all these artistic styles and skills, and the only way it could do so is by stealing other people's works. And while that's kind of cool and dandy, this is without a person's involvement. All they do is just slam in this entire storage and library of art pieces that they've stolen. So it exploits the hard work of many artists and their art styles. And now AI art is currently being used to replace so many people in the field, whether if it's concept artists or animators. And it further raises the ethical issues when it comes to its usage. Even now, we're still trying to regulate AI art, and it's been a struggle. Let's show some examples of AI art in his recent works. Because, well, I mean, I did state that he did use AI-assisted art in his works. I don't know why I keep stumbling, I'm very sorry. So here's his recent pieces. As you can see in this piece, and upon closer inspection, there's some traces and telltale signs that he used AI art. For example, the skull is melting into the clay or rock stone, and I'm not entirely sure why that's happening. The hands of the man doesn't even have a wrist, and the other hand has fingers merging together. There's a stone gash on the stone table, except the stone gash is kind of cutting out of the stone table, and it shouldn't be making that at all. And finally, but not least, the dog and the pants are struggling to differentiate itself, so it's making splotches all over the place. This is not the only piece that has AI-assisted art pieces in it, by the way. Here's another, in which the greenery in this piece is made with AI art. As you can see here, all the plants and everything are fusing together. They're mixing and morphing together, and some of the leaves just cut off unprompted. In short, all these plants are done and painted in such strange ways that seem to be unintended by the artist. Finally, here's the metadata for the Valentine's Day piece, because it turns out that they uploaded the entire thing and didn't think to at least change the metadata while lying about it. If you didn't know what a metadata is, it's pretty much the DNA of a photo or an image. So here's the metadata for this art piece. You can see that it says Adobe Firefly and obviously generated image at all. If anything, I think usually new pieces start with untitled, but this just says generated image for some reason. And while Photoshop is mentioned at the last, and while there's Photoshop at the very last of the page, that's quite understandable considering that he needs to photobash the two images that he had to generate in order to create the final piece. But what is Adobe Firefly? Oh. Okay. So what's the takeaway here? Well, from what I can surmise, the artist is skilled in many fields, whether it's from product design, storyboarding, and concept design. However, the artist in question has started relying on AI art as his main tool to gather image assets for his photo bashing works, or had to rely on AI art due to the short deadline for the Valentine's Day image. Despite of it all, it still doesn't change the fact that this recent piece has definite proof that they did use AI art generation for this. And the CMs still continue to lie and try to protect this person who has lied about not using AI art generation. To conclude, I could quote many places in which I had to search about AI art generation and copyright and its ethical uses, and where do we draw the line with using AI art. But I'll just use one. And here, I'll read the quote. As solely AI-generated works are not covered by copyright law, they are not afforded moral rights. This means that acknowledgement or attribution is not required. If a human contributed enough for independent intellectual effort to be considered an author, then full moral and commercial rights must be upheld, and that includes acknowledgement. Either way, in the spirit of transparency, it's recommended to acknowledge AI was used in generating the work. So irregardless of how or what the general populace considers this to be enough for independent intellectual effort, making him the author, I simply request for one thing. Stop fucking lying. Stop lying and just confess that you used AI assets to make this art piece. I'm sorry for stumbling so much. I'm gonna go now. Goodbye.